Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you decided to click on this video today. So I am going to be talking today about some of the books coming out in June that I am the most excited about. This was like probably the hardest time I've ever had making this video and choosing the books for it. I feel like I've said that before, but like honestly, this has got to be the worst because there's so much stuff coming out. There is like, it's just, yeah. There's so many books coming out that I was excited to read. And, I try to narrow this down to 8 so that it isn't long because we know I can talk a lot. So I do honestly have a few at the end that I'm going to talk about anyways, even though there are in excess of my 8 that I like to choose. But I'm going to stop talking about this now, and we are just going to get into talking about the books. So the first book coming out on June 4th is Such a Bad Influence by Olivia Muenter. Munter? I'm not 100% sure how to say it, but Olivia, something like that. And I am especially excited about this because it is about a YouTube personality, influencer type person, and I am absolutely a sucker for anything that has that as a like plot line in any way. So this follows a woman named Hazel who is kind of like lost at sea, metaphorically speaking. She is just kind of stalled in her career. She doesn't like her living situation, and things are just not going how she wants them to. She has a younger sister named Evie who is like a YouTube sensation and Instagram like influencer. She just has it all going on. And Hazel, while she doesn't really want that life, she, can't help but being a little jealous. Her younger sister Evie, like they've also done like a family YouTube channel, but Hazel managed to just avoid that completely. So now Evie is 18 and her sister is still very protective of her and concerned that, everyone kind of wants a piece of her. She has so much money and fame, and she's just a little fearful of what, everyone's got an agenda, basically. So one day, Evie disappears in the middle of a live stream. Like in mid-sentence, it cuts off and Evie goes missing. And so at that point, Hazel kind of like dives into the world of influencing and is trying to figure out what happened to her sister. So to me, that sounds incredible. I am so excited. I actually think I have an arc of this that I should probably just go ahead and read because I'm so excited about it. And I don't even remember if I have it, but either way, I'm so excited to read this. I love anything about like social media and influencers, and I love a good thriller, so this is definitely going to be up my alley. Next up on June 11th, which is my 36th birthday, good lord, we have Swan Song by Ellen Hilderbrand. This is a book I'm super excited about. I actually talked about it in my last video because I did read it in April. So I did have an ARC copy, so that was exciting, and I was able to read that in advance. So if you're interested in my review, go ahead and check out my previous video about my April reads, but this was super good, so I can wholeheartedly recommend it. If you are a fan of Ellen Hilderbrand's books and just that kind of women's fiction like type of story, I found this to be totally addicting and I really enjoyed it. So the book opens at Ed Capanash's retirement dinner. He is the chief of police on Nantucket and he is like ready to retire. He's had some heart problems and just like it's time. While they're at dinner, he gets a phone call that a young woman has gone missing from a yacht. Like they were out and then they came back in and they couldn't find her. So then we kind of go back to the beginning of summer. This was like maybe August, and kind of see how everything unfolds. There are a lot of different like little side stories, but they're all so fascinating and like definitely get drawn in. The main one here is this couple named the Richardsons. They are new to Nantucket, and if you've read her previous books, Nantucket is the year-rounders are very like kind of cliquey, and they've all just like known each other forever, and so to have newcomers is, they're very much outsiders to start out with. People are nice to them, but it's still like, proceeding with caution. And So this couple is extremely, extremely wealthy. So they start throwing these lavish parties and inviting everybody in the neighborhood. And everyone obviously likes them because they are just providing so much fun and entertainment and whatever. There's a couple people who are a little skeptical, but they kind of become the catalyst for a lot of things that start to go wrong on the island. So that was a book that I thought was really entertaining. It definitely wasn't my like favorite ever of Ellen Hilderbrand's, but I do think I gave it like 4.5 or something around there stars. I definitely really enjoyed it, and so that again comes out on June 11th, and I do recommend it. Next, another one on June 11th, we have The Gods of the Woods by Liz Moore. Love this. She's a local Philly author, so it's always fun to support, you know, local authors. So this one I didn't really know much about, so I'm just going to read the description as it's written here. So this says, early morning, August 1975, a camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the summer camp and employs most of the region's residents. And this isn't the first time a Van Laar child has disappeared. Barbara's older brother similarly vanished 14 years ago, never to be found. As a panicked search begins, a thrilling drama unfolds, chasing down the layered secrets of the Van Laar family and the blue-collar community working in its shadow. Moore's multi-threaded story invites readers into a rich and gripping dynasty of secrets and second chances. So to me, that sounds awesome because I love family dramas and I love thrillers. And so when I get kind of a combined situation, that is like my ideal book. I've also previously loved a book by Liz Moore called Long Bright River that if you haven't read, I definitely would recommend you read. And so this just sounds awesome. And it's like a little historical too. And yeah, I just think this is going to be a really, really interesting book. And I am super excited. And again, that comes out on June 11th. I swear I'm not just being annoying about books coming out June 11th because it's my birthday, but I do have another one. And honestly, that's a big day. Like, there are a lot of really good books coming out. So definitely look into more lists than just this one because there's a lot to be excited for on that day. So the next one is One of Our Kind by Nicola Yoon. Again, comes out June 11th. And this is Nicola Yoon's, I think, first adult novel. She is a young adult novelist. And her husband, David Yoon, also is a young adult novelist. So this is her first adult book, and I think it sounds awesome. Again, I'm just going to read you the synopsis because I'm not super, super familiar with it yet. It says, Jasmine and King Williams moved to their family to the planned Black utopia of Liberty, California, hoping to find a community of like-minded people, a place where their growing family can thrive. King settles in at once, embracing the Liberty ethos, including the Lux Wellness Center at the top of the hill, which proves to be at the heart of the community. But Jasmine struggles to find her place. She expected to find liberals and social justice activists striving for racial equality. But Liberty residents seem more focused on booking spa treatments and ignoring the world's troubles. Jasmine's only friends in the community are equally perplexed and frustrated by the residents' outlook. Then Jasmine discovers a terrible secret about Liberty and its founders. Frustration turns to dread as their loved ones start embracing the Liberty way of life. Will the truth destroy her world in ways she could never imagine? Yes, sign me up. So this gives me almost like Get Out vibes, Ace of Spades, like, but the interesting part about this is that I feel like both of those, like, medias, because one's a movie, one's a book, but those two things are mainly like white against black. Like, it's two black people being like accepted into like a white culture and then it all going south. This is a black family moving into a black community and things going wrong. So like super unique take on that kind of situation, and like definitely am curious to see where that goes. I think it sounds really unique, and honestly, even if it was similar to like Get Out or Ace of Spades, I would still be interested in reading it, but it sounds super, super good. So I'm very much looking forward to reading that one. On June 18th, we get the new book by Riley Sager called Middle of the Night. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Riley Sager. I think his books are, I don't know. There have been a couple that I've really, really enjoyed, and a couple that I've absolutely hated, and a few that I thought were fine. So, really kind of all over the place with my opinions on him. So, his earlier couple I thought were like meh. I loved Lock Every Door, and I really, really liked The Only One Left, which came out last year. The rest of them, I'm like, it was fine. Honestly, though, The House Across the Lake was, I didn't hate it as much as everyone else, but I did think it was super bonkers. And like, I'm still unsure how I feel about it, and it's been like 3 years. So this one, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, to be quite honest. I know it's going to be super popular and a really big hit because it's Riley Sager and people really, really seem to enjoy his books, but I am not sold completely. This starts, in a past timeline. A 10-year-old boy named Ethan and his best friend Billy are having like a camp out in the yard in a tent in their little suburban neighborhood, and when Ethan wakes up in the morning, Billy is gone and the tent is like slashed open. So definitely something bad going on here. Billy is like never found, at least at that point. So 30 years later, Ethan is going back to his hometown for, I guess, like, he doesn't do that often. He's not super happy about it. I don't know like what the reason is, I guess, but he starts having like bad dreams and insomnia, and he keeps thinking like he's seeing someone like running around the lawn, and kind of like keeps feeling like he's seeing signs of Billy's presence in his yard and in the neighborhood. So that kind of, takes him on like a trip to the past where he starts to try to investigate a little bit more about maybe finding out what happened to his friend and seeing where it goes. So, I mean, I'm certainly open-minded. To me, this sounds like a book that we have all read several times. I think if you read many thrillers, I like honestly can't really see where this is going to be novel, because this is just one of those things that I feel like we see all the time. Something bad happened in a childhood. Protagonist moves away, reluctantly comes back and find out the truth. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we've all seen that so many times. So it has to be like pretty exceptional for me to be intrigued or impressed these days. But I do know that that's going to be popular. And something to note is that Riley Sager, so controversial a little bit here, he is a man. That is a pen name. And he chose that pen name, and he is open about it because it's kind of a unisex name. It could be a man or a woman, and a lot of people think it's a woman. And he writes, up until this point, solely female protagonists. And I don't know, like, it's so kind of weird because in thrillers, I don't know, it always feels a little off because, like, women being chased and murdered and whatever, and being written by a man is a little, feels a little funny, I guess. But this is his first book with a male protagonist, so we will see how he does with that. And like, again, I don't know if that's really something to be noted, but he has long been, I don't want to say criticized, but it has long been noted that he solely writes female protagonists in these murdery situations, and that he has come out and said his pen name was chosen so it could be passing for a man or a woman. So do with that what you will. Next is a book that I am so excited for. This is an author that I absolutely love, and that is One Star Romance by Laura Hankin. She is just an author I have loved since her first book, and all of her books I think I've given 4 or 5 stars to. In particular, her last one, The Daydreams, I was just, I obsessed. And so I'm so excited about this. I also just saw today a review of this from someone that I really trust and generally agree with, so I am so excited because she loved it. So this is a little bit of a departure from her previous novels. She kind of did write in like more of a general fiction, general contemporary fiction. This seems to be a little more of a romance than her previous books. I mean, I do think it's generally hard to write an adult novel without any aspect of it being romantic, because most adults are interested in romantic partnerships, and like there's generally just some of that happening. So whatever, but this seems like it might be more in that genre completely. But either way, I'm in. So this is about Natalie and Rob, who do not have anything in common. They are just polar opposites. Natalie is super into art. She's an artist. She's very messy. Rob is an academic, and he is just very like type A by the book. And their best friends just got engaged. So they are kind of forced to be buddies. Like they are forced into the same proximity. I don't think, based on what I like reading in the synopsis, that there's like any animosity to begin with. They just literally have nothing in common or nothing to talk about. And so right before the wedding ceremony, Natalie learns that Rob wrote a 1-star review of her new novel that had just come out, I guess, and honestly had her absolutely enraged. Natalie has like an imposter syndrome situation, and Rob, something in the book, I guess, made him angry, and that's why he wrote the 1-star review. So this kind of is a like long-term, I guess, book. It goes from like the wedding, I suppose, or whenever they got engaged, to like many years in the future when these two have to, find themselves meeting at all these life events for their best friends. And I guess they sort of get over it, or, they figure out how to make it work, and I'm guessing they fall in love, but you never know, I guess. And so I think that just sounds really cute. That sounds just like very cute, sweet, fun. I'm interested, and I know that with Laura Hankin, I'm in good hands as far as like writing and just funniness and all of that. So this comes out on June 18th, and I will definitely be reading it. Another one coming out on June 18th is The Memo by Rachel Dodes, not positive, and Lauren Meckling. This sounds really fun and unique. It is giving me like kind of Sophie Kinsella vibes, which is like, one of my favorite like fun book authors. So this is about a woman named Jenny who is going to her upcoming college reunion. She was at the top of her class, but now she is kind of lost in life. She's not really where she thought she would be. Her career has kind of like flatlined. Her boyfriend is cheating on her, and all of her friends seem to be doing way better than she is. So she's like, not super pumped to be going to this reunion. She's like, did I miss the memo? What memo did they get that I didn't? And guess what? She did miss a memo. When she arrives at the school for her reunion, she gets a text from an unknown number that says, "Jenny Green, please collect your memo." Apparently, somewhere on campus, there is like a female-led organization that's like top secret that basically hands them the blueprint to success for select students with promise, I guess. And so she didn't get her memo the first time around, but this is her second chance to kind of figure things out and be a success. But apparently everything comes with a price, and something's gonna give there to make this not the perfect scenario, it sounds like. So that I think sounds really fun, really cute. I tend to enjoy books like this about like reunions and kind of like redos. So I think that's a book that I'm really going to enjoy. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. This is a new author duo to me. I don't know if they've written any books previously, but I think this sounds really cute. So we'll see. And lastly, on June 25th, we're getting All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. I am very excited about this. He wrote a book called We Begin at the End a few years back, which I personally did not read, but I've heard nothing but good things about. I think that was an incredibly popular book and very well loved. So I think this is really a book that I'm going to enjoy, and I feel like I can, definitely recommend it based on what I've known so far. So this is set in 1975. It talks about all the things that are kind of changing. Vietnam War is ending. Muhammad Ali is fighting Joe Frazier, and in the small town of Montclair, Missouri, girls are disappearing. So the daughter of a very wealthy family is the next target, but Patch, a local boy with one eye, comes to her rescue and saves her and leaves heartache in his wake, which I don't fully understand what that sentence means in this context, so we'll find out. And so the rest of the synopsis is kind of hard to kind of figure out what exactly they're talking about, but it says that Patch and those who love him soon discover that the line between triumph and tragedy has never been finer, and that their search for answers will lead them to truths that could mean losing one another. So I don't really know exactly where this book's gonna go, but I do think it sounds good so far based on that. It reminds me a little bit of William Kent Kruger's books that are, mysteries sort of at their core, but set in like, small town America in the past and are more about like human relationships than like the mystery exactly. So I don't know. That's just my interpretation from what I'm reading, but we'll find out. Okay, so those are like the main books I want to talk about. There's a few more that I will mention. However, out of the three of them, two of them I have zero interest in reading. The one that I do think that I will read is The Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden. This comes out on June 11th. And this is just a continuation of the Housemaid series. I don't feel like I need to explain my thoughts and feelings on Frida McFadden anymore. I have run that into the ground. But I don't know. I'm in this series already, and I just feel like, what's one more? What's one more? So other than that, we have The Mystery Feast by Lucy Foley coming out on June 18th, and this is yet another locked room mystery from Lucy Foley. This one takes place at some fancy resort. I have read two of her books, and I did not like either one of them. They are literally the same book. They are just, I don't know. People really like her books, so that's why I'm talking about them here in case you weren't aware. You've read her books in the past and you liked them. Now you know she has a new one coming out, but I have absolutely no interest in reading this at all. So do with that what you will. And on another one on June 11th, we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I haven't read any of her books, so I'm not going to speak ill of her. I just don't think I will enjoy any of her books based on other people's opinions and reviews. But this one is about a woman who works at a food science startup and a big company wants to take over, and like they butt heads, but then they fall in love, is my understanding. So that comes out on June 11th. Enjoy if you're an Ali Hazelwood fan. I won't be reading it though. So those are 8 plus 3 of the books that are coming out in June this year. I definitely have some that I am super looking forward to, and I think it's going to be a great month. Again, this is just like a pared down list of these. There are so many great books coming out in June, so I highly recommend taking a look at other folks' videos and just generally like checking out your local bookstores in the month of June because it's going to be a really exciting month. So I appreciate you so much watching this video. I truly appreciate every view I get. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!